the character arc for somebody like Owen is he has just always lived either a solitary life or a life with this band of U.S. Marshals. And so a family and a home and stop moving all the time. So that's him finding out maybe he is kind of tired of just wandering all the time. And with a woman like Delaney to settle down with, that starts to sound really good to him.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a Writer's Day podcast. My name is Ruth Douthit, and I'm an award-winning best-selling author of books in various genres. I started off writing fantasy for kids, then moved on to contemporary YA, and now I'm settled with women's fiction, writing romantic suspense, and it's so much fun. I love it. And my next book, I just revealed the cover and the title, A Shadow of Hope, comes out in April, and it's available for pre-order right now. So head over to Amazon and get your copy pre-ordered. So that way on April 14th, it just automatically populates your Kindle. And the paperback will be coming out slightly before then as well. A Shadow of Hope follows a victim's advocate as she has to prepare a 12-year-old blind girl to testify against the killer. Can she do it? And can her testimony be trusted? But when a hired hitman attacks to prevent her from testifying, everything goes crazy. Will they make it? Well, you'll have to wait and find out. Get your copy pre-ordered. A Shadow of Hope releases April 14th. Head over to my website at artbyruth.com to sign up for my newsletter so you can learn more about this project and more projects coming soon. And you'll get a free downloadable copy of my suspense novella, The Letter Opener. That's artbyruth.com. All right, let's get busy. Mary Connealy is with me. She writes romantic comedy with cowboys. That's right, romantic comedy with cowboys. But now her next series that she's going to talk about today is more along the lines of, Rooster Cogburn types of adventures with the Marshals, the U.S. Marshals out there in the Rocky Mountains. And so you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to Mary Connealy talk about her new book. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm super excited to have Mary Connealy with me today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Ruth. I am glad to be here.
Of course. Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about your book. But first, why don't you tell us what you've been up to so far in 2026?
Well, you're picking the perfect time to ask because I am in Florida. We are talking about the grand blizzard, bitter cold of all time up in Nebraska where I'm from. But Ivan, my husband, and I decided we wanted to spend a little time in Florida. Then we heard the weather report and we just left early. We just said we have to run for it. So I am in Florida and listening to people talk about how chilly it is when it gets down to 50, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's only about, 70-something degrees there?
Oh, yeah, I believe it was I think it's down to 55, so it's a cold snap. It was 80 yesterday.
Ooh, wow, okay. Yeah, lucky. You got out just in the nick of time.
Oh, well, are you kidding? Yeah, we're running for it. My goodness sakes. Left everybody behind, and my texts back home might qualify as gloating. I'm not absolutely sure, but
Wonderful. So are you out there just for a vacation, or are you doing any writing?
Yes, we are going to spend a month in Florida. We don't usually do that. My husband's retired and has been for a few years, and we're just trying this. It's a long, long trip down here. So, and we're not great long distance travelers, but boy, once we got here, we're pretty happy. So we have to weigh that, see if we can handle it.
Nice. What part of Florida?
We are we're in a town called Citrus Springs, but it's like an hour and a half north of Orlando.
Ooh,
And
nice.
kind of edging toward the Gulf side. We're not on the Gulf. I think there's a swamp between us. We haven't tried to see that. We've only been here for a couple of days. But yeah, we might drive over there and have a look at that. And anyway, yeah, it's we should have gone farther south, but then we'd have had to drive farther, so that's a downside.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I understand. Oh, how wonderful. I have family in Orlando and then in New Smyrna Beach on the coast.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. I know I've been there in January before when it was about 80 degrees and I just sat on the beach the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I miss it. I don't blame
We
you for
don't
being
think
there.
we're going to get any beach sitting. It's not warm enough for that, but
Oh, okay.
ugh.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, let's talk about your new book, Ambush of the Heart, Rocky Mountain Marshals, book number one. Ooh, tell us about this amazing story.
Well, I've been wanting to do U.S. Marshals for a long time. I'm trying to mix things up a little. I write romantic comedy with cowboys, and it is easy to fall into just kind of the same thing, just roping and riding and shooting. And so I try to explore different parts of the Old West, and I had never done U.S. Marshals, which I got a friend who's doing modern U.S. Marshals, and it's just so interesting listening to her talk about them. So I decided to start doing some research. The only U.S. Marshal I knew of was Rooster Cogburn from True
Mm.
Grit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that there's just a lot more to it than that. So I have these guys. They're just transporting a prisoner from Denver to Cheyenne, and they get attacked by people that are trying to break him free, and they get driven into the front range of the Rocky Mountains.
Ooh.
And one of the things I'm just exploring is how lost you can get in the mountains. I mean, these are smart guys who know rough living, know wilderness living, but oh my gosh, it's just a struggle to stay alive. So there, of course, there's a beautiful woman along who is riding along with them, and a handsome marshal. There's three marshals, and each book is a different marshal story. And this first one is them fighting their way back out of the Rocky Mountains and getting their prisoner to a prison in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where he broke out a little while ago, and in the on the way there, they are falling in love and fighting for their life. The usual.
Now, I'm a big supporter of the setting connecting with the protagonist. So, what made you choose the Rocky Mountain frontier there?
You know what? About a year, 2 years ago, I don't remember. We don't travel much, so I should know everything about this. But we took a train ride. It's kind of a bucket list thing from Denver to San Francisco. We got an Amtrak and took that train because I wanted to go out into those mountains somewhat and just see what it looked like. And there's these huge mountains that we're running along the top of, and they're green all the way to the top. And because I'm an author, I do a lot of what if. And you look at that and you think, first of all, that's too steep to climb up. And second of all, the top is the top and you're done. And then you think, but what if you could climb up that? And
Mm.
what if there's more? What is up there? And because heaven knows the mountains never end there once you get into them. So I started thinking, yeah, if there was a trail that's not very noticeable, a man could get up that. So they run up and they manage to get up that slope, and the bad guys are coming after them, and they just have to keep going forward because they can't go back. So that train ride kind of explored it, inspired me to try that, to drive them up into those mountains and just see what would you have to do to get out of that. I was on a highway one time around Lake Tahoe. It's 4 lanes, it's beautiful, and I just think, what was it like before there was this beautiful paved road? I mean, we
Mm.
went up in some valley, and somebody said they've never had a buffalo up here. Why? Well, because they can't get up.
Mm.
This is a place buffalo can't walk to, and I just found it so intriguing that would it have been like to have been there before everything was laid out and mapped out and explored. So
Mm.
anyway, that set the scene. That got me to pick that scene, and and then my tough guys trying to keep everybody alive and keep moving forward. And if the bad guys fall into their hands along the way, they'll round a few more of them up, and that inspired me to do the U.S. Marshals in the Rocky Mountains there.
Very nice. Well, yeah, if you ever research the Donner Party, you'll
Oh,
find out what happened
oh
before
yeah.
all those roads were made.
Oh, and I mean I did research the Donner Party, and I can't remember the amount, but it was like going to cut 50 miles. This
Hmm.
way through is going to cut 50 miles off the trail. This was, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
50 miles was so huge. Of course they would try it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So
Well,
I
I don't
totally
blame you. I mean, if I think back to the 1870s, Colorado, I mean, I can't even imagine what that was like on horseback or wagon. So that's wonderful that you chose to do this.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And then they find this beautiful land up there, and then they
Mm.
find like, okay, this isn't a trail because there's nothing here but a cliff, and they just have to like go back and try again and feel their way through this, and then they get separated in a terrible breakout attempt by the bad guys. And anyway, so they get out finally, but then they got to go back and find their friend who fell into a fast moving river, and they know, but he fell off his horse when he plunged over the river, doesn't have a rifle. So we got to get these guys to the prison, and then we got to go back and find Tex. If he's alive, we'll find him. If he's dead, we'll find his body. I mean, that's just the kind of loyalty they had. We will be back when we find him. So
Mm.
anyway, so that's book two, then them trying to find him, and
Oh, okay.
a couple more of them falling in love along the way. So
Yeah, how do you balance the adventure and the excitement with the romance? How do you find that balance?
I don't know if I do. I love the action. I have had my editor say, there needs to be a little bit more going on between the two. Let's move that up just a little bit farther. So, yeah, and sometimes the romance just blooms, and other times it's like they're just too busy running for their life. So yeah, it is a balancing act, and I really love the fighting and the writing and the adventure of it. And not that I don't like the romance, but that just has to come along. It has to be dragged along into it. So,
Sure. So tell us about Owen Riley. Who is this man?
okay, Owen, I have an earlier series, and there's a book in that series called Marshalling Her Heart. And this is a ranch lady, and they're using the U.S. Marshals end up using her ranch as a base of operations because there's outlaws in the area, and they just can't stop them. They're having a terrible time, and they get a notion that it's in the area around her. So that's marshaling her heart, and three of the U.S. Marshals that come in to help set up the crime to be solved there is Owen Riley, and he's the boss of this group band of about 10 U.S. Marshals that come in, and then the two others from that story. And I just really enjoyed writing those characters, and wanted I that made me want to learn more about marshals and develop those characters. So he's a guy in charge of a lot of smart, competent people, and when he gives an order, they usually follow it. But these aren't guys that are going to follow an order they don't think is smart. So he's very competent. He's much loner. He's kind of a loner, and falling in love with a woman is not what he had planned for his life. But he finds himself unable to quite stop himself from doing it. So so he's going to have to rethink his whole life if he's going to get a wife. For one thing, he probably should have a house and a job that doesn't send him all over the place. So big changes in store for Owen.
Ah, well, tell us about Delaney, how she caught his eye.
Delaney, I Delaney Bridger, and she's sort of shirt tail relation to Jim Bridger, the big mountain man that was very famous in the Old West. And her father is I call him Grizzly Bridger, and he's the commander of the Fort D.A. Russell in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And her brother got left behind when he got this new assignment. She was a school teacher. She had to finish the year. And now they are just traveling. What could be more? No big deal. Traveling from where she was teaching up to join her mom and pa in Fort Bridger Fort Russell. And this will really be the first time because Pa was busy fighting in the Civil War, and then he was in frontier forts that didn't have a place for family. So they're really looking forward to being with their family and being joined there together. And on the way, there's trouble. And she's competent and she's tough. She learned a lot from her parents who had to live in the frontier a lot of their lives. And so she helps along the way from people that don't need a lot of help, but sure would appreciate if she didn't slow them down. So she's in there fighting right along with them. So,
Oh, that's great. I can't imagine what it was like to be a woman back then during those
oh,
days.
I
Whew.
know it. I know it. And you know what? There weren't hardly any of them. That's one of the things I find most interesting is you find these places that had like what they say Wyoming had one woman for every 8 men,
Wow.
and they just a woman was a rare thing, and very few, even the most rough and villainous Western men would ever hurt a woman because it was just she was too precious, and even more so a child. They would, I mean, there's no children particular in this one, at least later on there is, but so you find this strange heart of gentility in these really awful villains, and when you find someone who would hurt a woman, then you would find somebody who is truly a bad man. So I use that a lot, that we treat women pretty decently, and I've been led to understand that that's really the way it was.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Well, what's your writing process like? Does it start with the story and then you do research, or do you do research first and then the story comes from that?
it can be different, but right now I'm dealing with those three marshals. So in this case, it sort of started with characters,
Mm.
and then I wanted to try to find out what U.S. Marshals really do, and then I joined it with that story of the Rocky Mountains, and so it can kind of come in different ways depending on the story. Once in a while, I'll just have a story I really want to tell, and then you just got to start inventing the heroes and heroines, and that's to me that's almost harder than telling the story. The story
Mm.
seems to come to me, but if I've got to start from scratch with heroes and heroines, that takes a lot of character creation. And anyway, so in this case, I think I started with the heroes, but then you got to find a place for these guys to do what U.S. Marshals do, and
And then it all falls into place, huh?
oh, sure it does. Yeah.
Well, so what are some of the themes you have in your story, Ambush of the Heart? What do you want readers to take away from this story?
Well, one of the things that I kind of keep going back to is I always am drawn to stories about family. So I've got Delaney Bridger her brother is with them on this trip to go up and join her parents. And at the very beginning, and if you read the beginning of the book, one of the first things, there's a shootout that drives them into the mountains. And when I first wrote this, I had her brother be shot and killed. And that's the way I went. I wrote along like that because that was going to be her big motivation, because she's mad. She doesn't want to just run for her life. She wants to turn on those bad guys and, fight with them because she's so furious. And then at some point I invented her parents came into the story. And when I started doing that parents, I couldn't kill that brother. I started to feel so bad about that. So I had to go back to the beginning and bring the brother back to life. and like I had to be grievously wounded, right? But he did not die. And so that's Delaney. She's loyal to her family, and then kind of when Owen comes into the picture, trying to pull him into her family, it works pretty well because her family is a bunch of real tough characters, and Owen fits right in. So that's Delaney Delaney's part in this story is the Lord, and that's just a theme of the story, is that family trying to get back together because pretty soon her parents come because she's late and her brother's late, so they come to search for her, and she's trying to get to them, and Owen's trying to keep it all together, and I'd say maybe that's it, maybe that family, and that's just a theme that I love. I love my children being as close to me as possible, and I like keeping families together.
Yeah, sounds like family, loyalty, and maybe reconciliation are themes that readers can see.
Yeah, and the character arc for somebody like Owen is he has just always lived either a solitary life or a life with this band of U.S. Marshals, and so a family and a home and stop moving all the time. So that's him finding out maybe he is kind of tired of just
Yeah.
wandering all the
Yeah.
time. And with a woman like Delaney to settle down with, that starts to sound really good to him. So
Nice. I love that.
yeah.
Well, listeners, Ambush of the Heart is out in the world today. So head over to Amazon and get your copy today. And Mary, what's coming next for you? What are you working on now?
Well, this is book one of a 3-book series. So I'm just finishing up book three because we just worked that far ahead in writing. So it's getting to be time to turn in book three, and I've got it finished, but I'm revising it, and we're just finally we've got Tex went over that waterfall and is lost, and with him goes the woman he's chasing, who is one of the outlaws who's made it break for it. So those two have been alone together in the wilderness, and they finally got him out, and he finds out she's not really an outlaw, but she knows a lot about outlaws. So we're gonna have her decide her loyalty is now going to be to Tex and not to her family, who caused her so much trouble. And so that's the last book, is them they're going to go round up these outlaws who she knows who where they are, and the marshals would really like to get their hands on them. So that's the book I'm finishing up right now. And the middle one is Morgan. He's the third marshal, and we're having him find love while they're hunting for Tex.
Aw, that's great. Well, so
Yeah,
how can readers get a hold of you? Do you have your website and a newsletter?
I do. It's maryconnealy.com, and the trick there is spelling it, but you can figure that out. And there you can sign up for a newsletter on my website. And also, if you would go to Amazon, you can follow me on Amazon, and then you would get an email every time I had a book come out. And that's about as efficient of a way to keep track. I'm not good at newsletters. The only promise I can make you is I probably won't ever send you one, but I'll try. I can get you one out every once in a while.
Well, I just followed you on Amazon, and you're right. That is a terrific way to find out when an author is coming out with a new book. But websites are also great if you want to learn more about Mary. Head over to maryconnealy.com. That's two N's, but one L in Connealy.
Yeah.
So yeah, head over to Amazon as well, where you can follow her, so that way you'll always know when her next book comes out.
Ambush of the Heart is my 81st book.
81 books?
Yes, I've been at it, and the
Wow.
vast majority of them are romantic comedy with cowboys. I've done a few other things, and I've done some novellas, and I count those among them, but mostly it's just these adventure books, and all I can say is if you give them a chance and you like them, I can really keep you entertained for a long, long time. So, might be worth a try. If you love to read, see what you think.
Absolutely. And be sure and leave Mary a review, because reviews really help us authors on Amazon. So if you love Ambush of the Heart, make sure you leave a review. So head over to Amazon today to get your copy. And Mary, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a real treat. I look forward to our next conversation about your next book.
I would love to come again. I really, really always have so much fun talking to podcasters. You guys are just the best, so I appreciate it.
That was so fun to listen to Mary Connealy talk about her newest book, Ambush of the Heart, Book 1 in the Rocky Mountain Marshals. series. So make sure you head over and get your copy. It sounds fascinating. So yeah, head over to her website and sign up for her newsletter and follow her on Amazon. And I thank you for listening. I hope that you've been encouraged by how Mary writes her stories. Sometimes the characters inspire her, and sometimes the setting inspires her. So be encouraged. Keep going on your writing journey, whether you're developing characters or researching. It's so much fun to get your story out into the world. So keep going until you write the end. That's quite the achievement. Because like I always say, someone out there needs to read your story. So thanks for listening, and God bless.